Now that the NBA season is over, what are the Clippers going to do, particularly about point guard? Dodgers obfuscate whether Tony Gonsolin is courting another injury, and players from LA Galaxy and LAFC battle for playing time with the U.S. men's national team. Good morning, I'm James. This is your daily dose of sports and snark for the greatest sports city in the world, Los Angeles. This is the faithful Angelenos Morning Report. It is June 13th, 2023. It is a glorious day out, and I'm going to spend time with my glorious wife in a few minutes. But we are building something for LA here, so I'll take care of that first. If you enjoy being in the know about LA sports, clickety-clack the like button, clickety-clack the subscribe button. There's a notification bell. Hit that. It'll let you know we drop new content. Sharing is caring. Let people know we exist, and by all means, comment. It's a good thing. LA is interesting. Before we go through the day's news and notes, a look at the scoreboard though. Nothing. No games. Nada. Hope you enjoyed some time away. Meanwhile today, the Chicago White Sox are playing the Dodgers at 7. Tony Gonsolin, will he or won't he start? He's 3-1 with a 2.21 ERA. Lance Lynn for the Sox, 4-6 with a 6.72 ERA. But let's talk the NBA. The Nuggets lifted the trophy. I'm sure their coach is still talking crap about the Lakers every step of the way. Whatever, dude. Enjoy the ring. Whatevs. But the season is over, and we've spoken at length about the Lakers and their offseason. From the draft to potential trades to free agency to whether or not Austin Reeves went up to Taylor Swift and said, "I'm him." Okay, great. But what about the Clippers? See, the Clippers are in a unique situation. Weeks ago on this channel, we were discussing about how there are new salary cap restrictions in place that are going to put this team in a severe bind. They are having the second worst salary cap situation of any team in the league. And this matters a ton because, yeah, you could say the Clippers are a threat to win the title. They have Kawhi Leonard and Paul George. But you could also argue that the Clippers are a player or two away because they are a severely unbalanced team. They didn't solve point guard until after the trade deadline, right? They tried John Wall, they tried Reggie Jackson, they tried a bunch of people. It didn't work. And they only had one center on the roster. Point guard might be their most compelling question. But how do you do that when you are that far beyond the salary cap? Consider the incumbent, Russell Westbrook. And somewhere off in the Arizona desert is soon-to-be free agent Chris Paul. Can the Clippers get either one of them? Well, The Athletic went to these guys. One specializes in the NBA salary cap, and another specializes in projecting salaries, which is a very odd way to put your economics degree to use, but who am I to judge? The projection guy, let's start with the incumbent. The projection guy believes Russell Westbrook is the 5th best free agent point guard on the market, one player behind D'Angelo Russell of the Lakers. He believes that Westbrook is worth about $13 million a year, which is a hell of a drop. Remember, Russell Westbrook was earning $45 million a year. And the current projection is 13. Can the Clippers pay him $13 million? Hell no, they can't. The most that they can offer him right now is the league minimum plus 20%, which, by the way, is probably about $3 million. $45 million to $3 million. Now, we would all love $3 million, but to an NBA player, that's a slap in the face. Even if the Clippers decided, hey, we're going to tear apart our roster to try to give Russell Westbrook more money, the most that they could do if they tore their roster apart was give him the mid-level exception, which under the new CBA is $5 million. So what is the best offer that the Clippers can give this guy? $5 million. Is that going to be enough? Because, yeah, he enjoyed playing with the Clippers. He enjoys he enjoys Kawhi Leonard. He enjoys Paul George. He enjoys living in LA. It's one of the reasons why the guy put up with so much trash talk while he was with the Lakers. He wanted to play in LA. But $45 million all the way down to 3? Somebody else might offer him that $13 million. Meanwhile, despite the fact that those rules are extremely restrictive, oddly enough, it puts the Clippers in the running to go get Chris Paul. How so? Well, if the Suns cut Chris Paul, as they have allegedly told him that they will do, if Paul signs with any other team, he is still going to make $15.8 million next year from Phoenix. So even if the Clippers come in and they say, hey, here's the league minimum, $3 million, you want to be on this team? It would be $3 million plus the 15.8 from Phoenix, which is something akin to obviously 19 million. Would you take that? Especially if you're a 38-year-old point guard who's injury prone and is still chasing a ring. Something to consider. Tony Gonsolin was actually supposed to be the starter for Sunday's game between the Dodgers and the Phillies, but Dave Roberts chose to go with a so-called bullpen game. And I say so-called because the Dodgers only have a so-called bullpen, which turned into a real-life L. Now, Roberts said that he wanted to give Gonsolin extra rest. Keep in mind, Gonsolin last year missed a big chunk of the season with a forearm issue. And then, of course, going into this season, he doesn't start the season because he injured his ankle. So the scribes obviously got suspicious. Is this guy close to a third injury? And they asked Roberts, what the hell does this mean, extra rest? And he replied with something that should make your blood run cold if you're a Dodgers fan like I am. Quote, I think with Tony, the recovery has never been great. So trying to appreciate the short and the long term, making sure we take care of him and his health, making sure the recovery is where it needs to be. We just felt it was the best for him. What? What the hell are you talking about? The recovery has never been great? Does that mean he's still hurt? Does that mean he's like a hair's breadth away from yet another injury? Is he hurt or not? Now, Roberts said no, but do you take confidence in that answer? Because I sure as hell don't. Now, Gonsolin is a starter. We mentioned that the Dodgers bullpen is a dumpster fire. LA is talking internal options for the faltering bullpen. There is a possibility. Right-hander Daniel Hudson, he tore an anterior cruciate ligament in his knee last year, but has now started rehabbing in Arizona. He could literally return in a matter of weeks, Roberts told the LA Times. And I did talk a lot about the Dodgers bullpen yesterday. I mentioned that there was not a trade market yet for relievers. The trade deadline is 49 days away. So I want to pause for a moment and amend that statement. Is it possible that there could be a trade market? This is not a prediction. This is just me throwing some random things out from research. For openers, you could argue that there is not just one team, the Oakland A's, but 4 teams that could be considered sellers already because their teams are so bad. We mentioned Oakland. Kansas City is another. Washington. Maybe even the Colorado Rockies. Now, again, these are not predictions. This is saying if the Dodgers actually do feel that sense of panic, which Andrew Friedman is not one for panic, but let's say for the moment that he is feeling it, feeling the nerves. These are the 4 teams that he would probably call first. You should probably cross the Rockies off that list because pitching in that park is impossible. You'd have a hell of a time trying to figure out if any of them would pitch in a normal baseball stadium. The Royals, however, Kansas City, they do have a bullpen. Aroldis Chapman, remember him? Right? All-world reliever for the Yankees and the Reds. He's now in Kansas City. Scott Barlow of the Royals has 7 saves. Now, if you look over to the Washington Nationals, Kyle Finnegan has 11 saves, but his ERA is really painful. If the Dodgers push the panic button, I would imagine those teams would be on speed dial. Just saying. But one dude who will not be solving any problems for the Dodgers bullpen is Alex Reyes, the former All-Star with the Cardinals. He signed a one-year contract with LA in the offseason, but unfortunately the poor guy is going to need shoulder surgery, his second one in 13 months. And oh, by the way, the dude already had Tommy John surgery. So this is a dude who loves him some scalpel. So he's not your savior in the Dodgers bully. The United States men's national soccer team roster for the upcoming CONCACAF Gold Cup was announced yesterday. And if you look closely, there is an odd battle brewing for playing time. The Galaxy, the United States selected center back Jalen Neal. They also selected center back Aaron Long of LAFC. Now here is where the battle begins. You can say, why not have them play alongside each other? Not necessarily. One of the incumbents is John Brooks. All three of them play center back. But Brooks, you'd think the guy has been around forever, right? He's only 30 years old. He is still in the latter stages of the prime of his international career. And by the way, he has the pedigree. He plays in the Bundesliga over in Germany, way more respected than the United States. So you would think that Brooks is probably getting one of the slots, which leaves it Long versus Neal. Now, Neal is 19. He clearly made an impression on men's soccer. He appeared with the men's national team in a couple of friendlies earlier this year. Even more importantly, the Galaxy kind of, unfortunately, it seems like they screwed Jalen Neal a little bit earlier in the year. The United States wanted to pluck Jalen Neal so Neal could participate in the Under-20 World Cup. The Galaxy said no. U.S. Soccer could have soured on Jalen Neal because of that. But apparently they love the kid because he's on the actual Gold Cup roster now. Clearly they see a lot in him. However, Aaron Long, he has appeared with the Yanks far more often, but he is also 30. And he doesn't have the pedigree that Brooks has. And he's never really made a name for himself playing with the Yanks. So, you have one guy pushing 30 from LAFC versus the up-and-coming wunderkind over at the Galaxy. Probably battling for the same job. Probably. Now, the Gold Cup begins on June 24th. There's also a U.S. men's national team match against Mexico on Thursday. Maybe LAFC is a little long in the tooth in the back line, by the way. Long. I mean, you're talking about Giorgio Chiellini. You could even sit there and say that they're a little old at some other parts of the roster. You know, Carlos Vela, no spring chicken now. But before you think that the black and gold are a bunch of old geezers swallowing bottles of Ensure at halftime, consider center mid Eric Duenas. He may have been the bright spot, the only bright spot for LAFC in that disastrous loss against Houston. He played the full match, completed 32 of 36 passes, and earlier in that week when LAFC played Atlanta and that game wound up being a scoreless draw, Duenas was named man of the match. So there is a little bit of youth there that's functioning well for LAFC. NFL sports writers are a pretty damn schizophrenic bunch, I must tell you. All offseason long, we've heard, oh, the Rams have lost the offseason. Going all in has cost them. They suck. Never mind that going all in got them to 2 Super Bowls and got them a Super Bowl win. So anyway, after all that crap talk, CBSSports.com said the best thing the Rams did this offseason was not restructuring contracts. In other words, just ripping the Band-Aid off and letting the players go so they could get under the salary cap. And of course, because sports writers are snippy, it was a passive-aggressive compliment. The guy writes, see, not going all in has its dividends. To which I would say, going all in won them a damn Super Bowl, you short attention span having bastard. Going all in won them the title. That's the point of playing in the first place, guys. Stop clowning the Rams. They're going to stink this year probably, but they have 2 Super Bowls and a Super Bowl victory to show for going all in. A couple of weeks ago, we discussed how the Rams were so up against the cap that they didn't even sign a single draft pick. Well, we can tell you that Mr. Irrelevant has signed his contract. Defensive lineman DeJuan Johnson, draft pick number 259, has a 4-year deal. So, all right, baby steps. It's a start. Lashia Clarendon tore the plantar fascia in her right foot. The plantar fascia basically stretches from the heel of your foot to the balls of your feet. And if you've ever had plantar fasciitis, it's actually quite painful. She is out for the next 4 to 6 weeks for the Sparks. Here's a weird thing about the Sparks. I don't want to say that they're injury prone, but only 4 players on the roster has played in all 8 games so far this year for the Sparks. But you let me know what you think in the comments thread. Let me know what you think you would rather the Clippers get as a point guard. Talk to me about whether the Dodgers are maybe hiding if Tony Gonsolin might have to be injured, might get injured again. If you enjoyed the content, don't forget to subscribe to Faithful Angelenos. We're talking LA sports every single day here. Thank you for watching. I'm James. We'll be back tomorrow. Faithful Angelenos is a Kian Corte El Queso production. Take care.